Hello, welcome and welcome back to the United Mates Football Podcast. This is one of your hosts, Keitel, and as always, I'm joined here in LA from back in our hometown of London by my co-host, Joe. We do also have a special guest with us on the call. She's a journalism apprentice at talkSPORT, where she covers breaking news and viral stories from the world of football. You can also find today's guest writing about her beloved Addicts for Voice of the Valley, the much-loved Charlton Athletic fanzine. We welcome Tash Everitt to the United Mates Football Podcast. Tash, thanks so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you on the podcast. How's it going?
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, no, I'm good.
A little birdie, aka Tash, mentioned that this is her first podcast, so hopefully we won't scare you off doing.
Go easy on me.
Will do. So, Joe, recently and up until this past week, Arsenal have had the upper hand on your team, Spurs, and so this part of the intros typically has been a bit of a free hit for me. But given the results at the weekend, with Arsenal getting trashed at Anfield and Conte's Spurs getting their stuff together to beat Leeds, I think a simple "How's it going, mate?" will have to do.
No, I definitely have to acknowledge the fact that Arsenal lost 4-0, which was great, and Tottenham won, and all it took was Conte sort of cheering a bit, and now I really like him. So fantastic. You know, that's all it takes for a football fan. You just need a bit of passion from the manager, apparently. But as Kai said, Tash, we're delighted to have you on the podcast today. And when we have a guest on the podcast, we always have an icebreaker question for the guest. So we've got one. Yeah, we've got one for you. And we've had a look at your Twitter, Tash, and we've noticed that you posted an image of a Zhengzhi Charlton mug.
I did. Good spot.
Yeah. What a player. What a mug.
Do you know what? It got so much more attention than I thought it would. I was just working from home and I thought, this is quite funny. I'll just tweet this. And it got loads of attention. I was like, oh.
So that's, what a mug. But I guess you could call that quite a weird piece of football memorabilia. So we are going to ask you, we'll answer first, but if you own, I don't know, what else have you got which you would consider quite a weird piece of football memorabilia? And like I said, you just think about it for a sec. We'll start. You can mull it over. I think mine, it's not that weird, but it's weird because I'm a Spurs fan, and I definitely had it when I was younger. I had a Ryan Giggs keyring, which is random. I went to Man U when I was younger with a friend. And so I had that, which is just more strange that I had it. But Kai, how about you? What was your weird football memorabilia that you own or used to own?
Did you keep the keys to your other girlfriend's house on the hearing?
Yeah, I really. Luckily, I don't think I think if I was a Man U fan, I'd probably have to chuck that keyring in the bin anyway. But what about you, Kai? What did you?
I've got something here with me that or if you're watching the video, you can see is a dog collar. It's an Arsenal dog collar that my mom got me. I do have dogs. It's not some weird
not some weird thing you got going on.
No. Otherwise, I do have a Spurs kit randomly as an Arsenal fan. It is signed by It's signed by a bunch of the Spurs players, and I have a friend who's got a connection at Spurs, and it was like a gift thing, but it's kind of like it pushed all the way back in the closet. It hasn't really seen the light of day for a while. But Tash, besides the Zhengzhi mug, which is fantastic, what other sort of bizarre memorabilia might you have?
So I can blame my dad for this and my mum. They're both Charlton supporters as well. My whole family are. But over the years, I acquired some interesting mugs, not just the Zhengzhi one. And we actually still have, for some reason, Alan Pardew mug in our cupboard. Right, and bearing in mind, Charlton fans absolutely hates Alan Pardew, not just because he got us relegated. We just don't like him anyway. And I said, this is over 10 years ago. I said to my mum and dad the other day, I was like, right, question, why do we still have this in the cupboard? They were just like, I don't know, just never thought to get rid of it. I was like, so that's probably the weirdest bit of memorabilia that we have in our house, to be honest.
Yeah, hard. What a man. I think, again, we've spoken about it on the podcast before. We can all remember the dance that he did in the FA Cup final when Palace went up against United. So he's a bit of an iconic fella.
Yeah, I remember me and my parents obviously ran around the living room after that because obviously they ended up losing. And it was just, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess Alan Pardew is going to be the butt of the jokes on this episode, perhaps. But speaking about, you mentioned obviously he was, Charlton manager that unfaithful season when they ended up getting relegated. But taking things back even before that, I suppose, and more personally about yourself, we always like to ask our guests where their story with football, the beautiful game, playing, watching, supporting kind of started. So from your childhood, what are some early memories that you have of following football, getting interested in football and getting interested in Charlton?
So it all started really, I kind of didn't have a choice when it came to supporting Charlton. I mean, as I say, like my mum and dad are both Charlton supporters. My granddad is, my nan is, their parents were. So it's just been a family affair really. And I think I went to my first game when I was 3, which is a lot older than I thought I would be. Like I would have thought my parents would take me like, as soon as I was born, not gonna lie, but they waited until I was 3. And it's so annoying looking back now, because I think when Charlton were in the Premier League, we got relegated when I was 9. So when we were playing Man United and just beating Chelsea, you know, as you do week in, not week in, week out, that's overrating it, but on a regular basis anyway, beating those high level teams, I just didn't appreciate it. Like I thought it was just the norm to be in the Premier League, and now I look back and, you know, mid-table in League One, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could open my eyes. But yeah, so I think my earliest memory is probably being about 5 or 6, and I actually, funnily enough, really did not like football when my parents used to take me. I used to sit on my Nintendo DS, right? And I used to be playing like Nintendogs and Mario Kart and all that sort of stuff, and going on like PictoChat because I was so bored. And like people would say that my friends that sit me now, family friends, are like, I remember when you used to go to Charlton, you used to sit on your Nintendo and you weren't interested one bit. Like, what changed? And I think it was around when I was about 13 or 14, and I'm originally from South East London, but I moved to East Kent when I was about 9. And so near like Ramsgate, it's like the coast of Kent, and went to school around there and made loads of friends around there. And obviously, because Charlton's the biggest club really near Kent, so because otherwise you've got Gillingham and Dover, and all due respect to them, they're not the most attractive clubs. So there was a lot of Charlton fans around me, and I met this group of boys, and basically I started going with them all the time, and that's how I really fell in love with it really, because I think realizing that obviously it's amazing going with my family, like that's something I treasure a lot, especially now I don't live at home, but going with a group of friends at my age, and I just fell in love with it from then on really.
Yeah, Joe and I have been to a few games together. I was stupid enough to take him to the Arsenal versus Spurs game when Spurs came back to tie 4-4 at the Emirates. It was a low point. Yeah, a big low point. And I remember Joe taking me to a Spurs game and them reading out the scores from the other fixtures around the Premier League. And it was the day that Arsenal had beaten Chelsea 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. And I foolishly let out a bit of a cheer, and then immediately kind of had to like look around to make sure Spurs fans weren't circling in on for the kill. But I guess something quite impressive, Tash, that you've done, and who knows if your Nintendo traveled with you, is that you've gone to 71 different football grounds up and down the country, presumably, and possibly, who knows, maybe outside of England as well. But I guess the question is quite simply, outside of the Valley Stadium, what are your favorite and least favorite stadiums that you've been to, and why?
That's a hard question. I was talking about this with someone the other day, actually. So I went to Sunderland last month, actually. It's one of those grounds that I really should have done earlier in my life, but I just never had the opportunity. And then last month we played them. It was the game after Nigel Adkins had been sacked by Charlton and Johnny Jackson had come in as caretaker manager. And we weren't expecting anything at all, to be honest, but we managed to win 1-0. But the Stadium of Light is incredible. I haven't been that high up in the away ground for a long time. You know, I can't think this is, well, when we were in the Championship, otherwise I'm used to like one tier, maybe like standing kind of away ends. So that was incredible. The worst ground, see, I could say Millwall, but that just sounds like I'm being biased, but it genuinely isn't a very nice ground. I actually live near the Den, and I can hear it when I open my back door. And obviously, when I first moved in back in like February, March, it was COVID, and there was no one there were no fans. Now the games decided to come back. Whenever I'm not in the Valley and they've got a game on, I can hear it. So I said to my house, I was like, shut the door. But yeah, Millwall's up there with grounds I really don't like. I would say Luton arguably, but at the same time I actually kind of love it because it's so unique, and because you have to go proper through people's back gardens to go and up this rickety staircase into the away end. So I kind of love to hate Luton's ground in a way. I think Kenilworth Road is actually, yeah, it's horrible, but I love it.
God, Yeah, Kenilworth Road. I've been there before as well, and I went there on a particularly rainy Saturday afternoon, which just added to the slight melancholy. I mean, it's like you said, it's cool. You walk through the houses and stuff, but yeah, I think that's one of the more interesting grounds I've been to. But let's talk a bit about talkSPORT now, Tash, because obviously, as Kai said earlier, you are a journalism apprentice there. So, what I first want to know, Tash, is what was it about talkSPORT that motivated you to apply for a role there?
So talkSPORT actually offered a really kind of great pathway into journalism, sports journalism, obviously in particular. I'm sure Sky and BT all offer apprenticeships as well, but this is just one that I came across. And, you know, I'd listened to talkSPORT before. talkSPORT has a lot of presenters on there that I have quite, you know, childhood love for, like Darren Pent and Matt Holland, all of that. But obviously that's not the only reason I applied there. But yeah, so they had a really great pathway into careers in journalism, and I'd studied politics at the Uni of Reading. I graduated during the pandemic last year, still waiting on my graduation ceremony there. But yeah, so when I left uni, I kind of picked politics because I loved it. It's one of my strong interests, but I didn't want to do a career in it. My parents had done careers in politics, and yeah, I seen what, you know, their jobs day in, day out. I was like, it's not for me. I just had an interest in it. And, you know, typically most people when they graduate end up coming out and think, okay, well, I've got a degree, but I don't really know what I'm going to do with it now. And I always thought I'd absolutely love to get into sports journalism. I just think it's such a concentrated, you know, industry. There's so many amazing talented people going for it. You know, you see them all over your timelines, like Pete on Twitter, people that don't work in sport journalism but should, because they're that knowledgeable, but they just can't find an opportunity. So I one day I was just scrolling on Twitter and obviously saw that talkSPORT advertising an apprenticeship. So I thought, okay, this is a long shot that I'm going to get this, so let's just give it a go anyway. And there was like 3 interview stages, and every time I got through to the next one, I was like, right, okay, I didn't expect that at all. But yeah, so it managed to pan out in the end. I mean, the good thing about it was they weren't looking for candidates that had experience. Like, they didn't want someone that had already been polished and, you know, already knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to bring someone in who had a passion for sport and mold them into, like, you know, an employee or the journalist that could work for them. And yeah, so it's going really well.
Fantastic. Well, delighted to hear it's going well, and also delighted to hear I'm speaking to a fellow politics graduate.
Yeah, there you go. Love that.
So there we go.
Where did you study?
I studied at the University of Exeter. That's why I went to Kenilworth Road, because I'm a bit of an Exeter City fan now.
I see. Okay, second team, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to talk a bit more about talkSPORT now. So I guess I'm not going to say it's a criticism, but one of the things talkSPORT sometimes is, I suppose, criticised for is that sometimes some of the talking points will be quite sort of controversial. They'll say stuff in order to get people to phone up and scream down the phone line. So they'll start there. That's maybe a potential negative side of talkSPORT in some people's eyes. But look, you're at talkSPORT, you're working there. What is your favourite thing about talkSPORT and why?
Oh, my favourite thing about talkSPORT.
The dugout, firstly.
So yeah, the dugout's great. I've been there for like 4 months and I hadn't had a picture on it yet. And we had Football Shirt Friday last week in support of the Bournemouth War Fund for bowel cancer. And I was in my Charlton shirt. I thought, do you know what? If not now, when? It's a great opportunity. So apart from the dugout, obviously, like as I said before, that's the only reason I picked the job, but walking past your childhood heroes is bad as well, like Darren Bennett or whatever. But no, I think you know what, something that's really surprised me is just how welcoming everyone is. Like, not that I would ever have thought like everyone's going to be horrible. That's not it at all. But, you know, when you start in an industry that's very male dominated, it's very, you know, everyone's very professional. Everyone's got like boats more experience than me. I'm kind of coming into this very new. I didn't really know what to expect, but honestly, I can't fault it at all. Like, everyone has been so welcoming, and there's me and out of the sports writers on the talkSPORT digital team. So we got a floor with all the recording studios and all the people that work on social media and management. And then you have a floor of the digital team, which is people that do the online articles and the social media on that side of things and the app content. So on my team, there's 2 girls and I think there's about 22 guys. So obviously walking into that, you think, oh my God, like everyone's a guy here, but they've all been so lovely. So I think, yeah, that would probably be my favorite thing about talkSPORT is the people. I think it's really pleasantly surprised me and they've all been so welcoming.
Well, fantastic. That's always, that's always important. And I mean, it's very cool that your first job after graduating is at such a big organisation like talkSPORT. So yeah, well done on that. But, there we go. We've talked a bit about talkSPORT. Time for a game now, I think. And it's a classic game that we often have on this podcast. It's called Who Are Ya? It's very simple. There will be 3 mystery players, basically, that I will, I will tell you the clue in a second, but you and Keitel will essentially guess who the mystery player is. It's as simple as that. The clue is the same for each of the 3 players. They all played for Charlton Athletic. It's as vague as that, and sometimes I wonder if it should be less vague, but there we go. They all played for Charlton Athletic.
Okay.
We'll start with the first one. You guys can ask me any question really, and we'll just see if you can get them. So yeah,
I'm gonna get exposed here, honestly.
We'll find out. It'll all be revealed. But yeah, Tash or Kai, if you want to ask a question, we can get going with player number 1.
Do they still play or are they retired?
Oh my God, I was about to say this guy was retired. He technically still plays, this guy, but he hasn't played for Charlton for a long time.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Did he? Oh, sorry. Did he play for Charlton in the Premier League?
He did play for Charlton in the Premier League. Yeah.
Okay.
Is he English?
He was born in England.
Okay.
Such a curveball.
Okay. Ooh.
Is he younger than 40?
He's not. No, he's not. 43 years old.
Oh wow.
He's playing at like non-league level in London, but very, very much non-league level. I'll tell you the team at the end. Don't think of him as playing.
Does he play for a Caribbean nation? Like if he's not yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He represented a Caribbean nation on 10 occasions. Actually.
Okay, I have an idea, but I'll let Tash have a guess if she has an idea.
I honestly don't know. I've got a couple in my head, but no, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take the risk.
Jason Newell.
It's not a bad guess, but no.
No, he's our assistant manager actually at the moment.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, he's deputy to Jacko, who's our caretaker still.
So. We'll be talking about him a bit more later.
Honestly, I'm as stumped as you, Kai.
Now that was my shot in the dark, was Jason Newell.
He's over 40.
Yeah, he played after he left Charlton actually the year they got relegated by the looks of things.
Oh, that should really help me, but it's still not.
Is he a striker?
He's a striker, yeah.
Striker. Like Sean Bartlett was what, South African?
Yeah, it's not Sean.
No, he's too old now.
I wouldn't say this guy was the most prolific of strikers, but he was sort of good in his own way, I suppose. He went on to have a decent career in the lower leagues, Championship, League One kind of level.
Yeah, this is a real stumper.
I'm stumped. I'm actually stumped. You're going to say it, and I'm going to be like, oh.
Yeah. Joe, do you have any like little breadcrumbs?
Well, I'll tell you a few of the other team. The team he went to after Charlton was Colchester back when they were in the Championship.
They all go to Colchester though. This is the problem.
Yeah, and then actually he went to Ipswich after that, and then towards the end of his career, he had a really long spell at Leyton Orient. He played 111 times for them.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, that didn't.
That still hasn't helped.
Oh, I might have stumped both of you. This is amazing.
I think you have.
Yeah.
My dad's going to be shouting at me when he listens back to this. Honestly,
I feel like Kai. You will know this guy. Maybe. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Do you want me just to reveal it?
Because I think let's get ready for
it.
It's Kevin Lisby.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god! He's still playing?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He plays. I mean, I say he's still playing. He plays for Cray Valley Paper Mills. So I mean, they play in the Isthmian League Southeast Division. So when I say still playing,
Nice.
very loosely. So that was Kevin Lisby. But we'll move on. And actually, the clue I'll give you for this one is this guy didn't play for Charlton in the Premier League. He only played for them in Championship or below. So that'll be the clue, and you can go from there.
Okay.
Did he have a more kind of like well-known career in the Premier League at any point?
I'd say so, yeah. I wouldn't say, yeah, as in, yeah, he, in recent years, he has played Premier League games.
Oh. Is he a striker?
No, quite the opposite.
Oh.
Okay. So is he a centre-back?
No.
Oh, you mean he's a goalkeeper?
Yeah, he's a goalie.
Right. Is he retired?
No, he's not actually.
You're not thinking Scott Carson, are you?
No, that's a good shout though. He played. I forgot he played for Charlton. No, I'm not thinking of him.
Does he still play in the Premier League?
Technically, yes, but he's a sub goalie.
Backup keeper.
Yeah.
Oof.
Rob Elliott.
I'd even wager he's a third choice goalie.
It's not Rob Elliott, is it?
Tash, you got it.
Yes.
Rob Elliott. What a shout. Yeah, Rob Elliott, who kind of, it looks like, started playing for Charlton. He was at Charlton when they were in the Premier League. He must have been young, but it was
it was in the youth setup, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. He played in the Championship in League One for Charlton. So
I was going to say Darren Randolph, who did also play for us.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I think still a backup Premier League keeper. Yeah, for West Ham. Anyways, that was wrong though.
So yeah, there we go. We got those, and then I've got one more player for you. And again, my clue for this guy is again he played in the post Premier League era for Charlton.
Is he still playing?
He is still playing. Yeah.
Is he likewise a Premier League footballer?
He is a Premier League footballer. Yeah.
Okay.
Is he below 25, under 25?
He's not, no.
Okay.
Does he start for his team?
Yeah, I'd say I'd say yes.
Okay.
Is he a centre back?
He's not a centre back, no.
He's English.
He's English. He's even played 6 times for England.
It's not Joe Gomez.
No, that's who I was thinking of.
No, he left. He did also leave Charlton when he was young, though. But he did play for them for a couple of years, presumably when he was a teenager.
Played for England 6 times. Is he a midfielder?
Yep, he is.
Oh, coming to my head.
I think I know who it is.
This guy got it.
Is it John Shelby?
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah. What a legend, John Joe Shelby. I'd say he starts for Newcastle. I don't know if that does he? Am I right? Or was he a sub?
There was definitely a time when he was on the team sheet.
There we go. John Joe Shelby, formerly of Charlton. I mean, Kevin Lisby eluded everybody, but you got the other two. So I think that's that's a solid effort in my book.
Yeah, and I, as Tash was fearing, did not put her to shame or expose her by any means.
Not too much, anyway.
No, that was a nice diplomatic tie, one apiece, which we like here on the podcast. But sticking with Charlton, let's chat a bit about kind of their current situation. They just came off the back of a 2-0 win over top of the table side Plymouth Argyle. So that's bumped Charlton up to 12th place in League One, where they play these days. And one of our former guests, actually Connor Washington, even managed to bag one of the goals. Well done, Connor. The postman from back in the day is still delivering the goals. So how much of Charlton's recent rise in form, Tash, would you put down to caretaker manager and Charlton legend Johnny Jackson? And should he be awarded the job on a permanent basis? But I just want to give you a little extra context before you answer that, which is another one of our former guests, Anthony Costa, revealed that Johnny Jackson is actually a quality singer as well. So I just thought that you should know that in case it informs your opinion on his suitability as a manager.
I don't think I could love him anymore, but you just added to that, so thank you. Yeah, to answer your question, 100% he deserves it. Obviously, last season we finished literally just outside the playoffs on goal difference. So this is under Nigel Adkins, and obviously we had high hopes for this season. We lost Charlton Athletic to Birmingham. Liam Miller as well. He was on loan from Liverpool, and players like Ian Martson, he's owned by Chelsea, but he's playing for Coventry now, and he's doing really well. So we lost a couple of players, but we brought in a couple of new ones. Got Jaden Stockley tied down on longer contracts and people like that. So he was on loan last season, so we tied him down permanently. So we didn't have a bad transfer window by any means, but for some reason I don't know why this season Nigel Adkins just couldn't produce the same results that he got last time out, and it became blaringly obvious towards the end of his time being boss that he needed to go. It's a shame because I think he obviously has the credentials to get teams out of League One. He's done it before with Southampton. He's taken Scunthorpe up the leagues as well. But I think it might have been a case if he'd just been out the job for too long that he'd kind of lost his touch maybe, which is obviously sad because he's comes across as a very nice guy, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But obviously that then left room for Johnny Jackson to take over as caretaker manager. And Jacko he's been our caretaker manager before when Lee Bowyer got sacked. When we were, it was last season, halfway through last season. And he's been our assistant manager since like 2018 because he had a season before he retired as player coach, and then he's gone on to earning his coaching badges. He's been assistant manager, gone caretaker manager, and then obviously Nigel Adkins came in, so he went back to being assistant. And now it's kind of been like this is his perfect opportunity to prove that he has the ability to take on the job full time as manager. And to be honest, I don't think anyone could have done a better job. We faced Sunderland the way, as I said, we thought we'd have absolutely no chance. I thought we were going to get told about 6-0. So to win that game was impressive in itself. I was like, give him the job now. Obviously, since then we held Rotherham, who are very good in League One. They're probably a high-flying team. We held them to a draw at the Valley. Obviously beat top of the table Plymouth yesterday. And I think what all fans have kind of noticed, all Charlton fans have noticed, is that Johnny Jackson just has a very good relationship with all the players. And sometimes in football that doesn't necessarily work because you end up being too pally with the players to the point where you can't really say to your mate, oh no, I'm not playing you this week, and it all becomes a bit too complicated. But I think Jackson has a very strong head on his shoulders. He's proved that over the last 5-6 games he's been in charge. And I think our owner, our owner last week came out and said he was still going to continue the search for at least another month for another manager. Now, when someone's won 13 points out of a possible 15, or 12 points out of a possible 15, I can't remember which one it is now, but you just think, obviously you don't want to jump the gun, but if you have a guy that's already there, he's gaining the momentum. We're going on a really good run. He understands the club inside out. He's been here for 11 years. He's our club captain. The fans adore him. I don't know what else you would kind of require, because he was talking to Michael Beale, who was or is still Stephen Gerrard's right-hand man when they were at Rangers and now at Aston Villa. There was rumours going around about Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. I was like, no, no offence to him, but I feel like we just have the perfect person in Johnny Jackson, and it just begs the question of, what else does he need to do now, especially after the weekend, going and beating the league leaders who hadn't lost since the opening game of the season. Just makes you think no other manager is going to have the rapport with the club and the players and the fans that Johnny Jackson does. I can't see any argument against not having him now, even if you just had him on a deal to the end of the season, just to offer some kind of stability. I think I can't really understand why the owner wouldn't want him to be there full time.
I think maybe he just needs to serenade the owner with a a great song, and that'll seal the deal.
Well, the funny thing is, Sangard plays the guitar as well, because he wrote a song called "Addicts to Victory." Right, it's just been very controversial. I'm not a fan of heavy metal, so I can't comment. But so they could both play the guitar together. So I don't see why it's not happened yet. But yeah.
There we go. Super band at Charlton, not just the football team. Exciting stuff. But no, I think you're right. I think Johnny Jackson deserves the chance. Obviously, he's an ex-Spurs player as well. Actually, his only goal for Spurs was against Charlton at the Valley. So it was clearly meant to be for him at Charlton. But he's connected to Arsenal too. Apparently, he grew up as a big Arsenal fan. So there we go. Johnny Jackson's connected to all of our clubs.
It's true. There you go. Yeah.
Mostly Charlton, of course. But let's talk a bit more about Charlton, and let's talk about, I mentioned John Joe Shelby earlier, but essentially, I guess in the, 13 years, 14 years since Charlton haven't been in the Premier League, you've had a lot of really exciting young players that have made the move upwards. John Joe Shelby, as I said, Ademola Lookman, Ezri Konza, Joe Gomez. I mean, there's more as well. A lot of really impressive young players. But what's interesting in recent times is a couple of weeks ago, another young Charlton player, an 18-year-old, Deji El. I'm probably going to say his surname wrong, so sorry, Deji. Actually, Tash, how say his surname for me?
I think it's Elleriri. I think. Okay. Sorry if I just butchered that.
Yeah, so he's just actually signed a long-term contract until 2024, which is obviously massive for the club. And what I wanted to ask you, Tash, was, do you think that the signing of this contract is basically evidence of a new strategy at Charlton, where now all the next generation of really exciting young players, the priority is going to be to sign them up to a long-term contract and effectively try and get them up to the Championship or even the Premier League? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what fans have been calling out for the last 10 plus years, just to hold on to our homegrown talent. I mean, obviously, inevitably, if we get stuck in League One and there's players that can play in the Premier League, of course, I understand they have to move on. I get that. But especially when we were in the Championship back in 2015, 2016, around that time, we had Nick Pope. Who else did we have at the time? We also had Joe Gomez in 2015, as you said. There are loads of players that, if we had been a better organised club and a better run club, we would have been able to hold on to them. And obviously with Sangard, he took over back in September of last year. And one of his promises really was to say, we're going to do our best to make sure that, whilst we can produce homegrown talent, we're going to keep up with them and their abilities and make sure that we can grow together and not lose out on them to bigger clubs who are going to pay higher wages and are going to be more attractive. So that's been really good. Obviously, it used to happen to us when we were in the Premier League, still Scott Parker breaking all of our hearts and going to Chelsea when we should have made Europe, but that's another subject. But, sometimes you have to accept it. And, being a club in League One, I completely get it's not the most attractive outfit in the world. It's not. But I think it's good to know that the ambition is there to not only progress up the leagues and hopefully get back to the Premier League, but also to hold on to those that come to the academy, because we've produced some amazing players, as you know, over the years. And I sometimes think about the team that we could have had if we'd have held on to some of the players, even Joe Rebo, who we had in 2019 when we got promoted from League One last time. He's obviously incredible for Rangers. And someone tweeted the other day, the lineup, the combined lineup that we could have now with the people we had in 2019. It's just insane. So yeah, fingers crossed for the future. We'll be able to hold on to them for a bit longer, Elleriri as well.
It sounds like things are slowly moving in the right direction, and maybe Johnny Jackson, if he does get permanent charge of the squad, might be the guy to sort of continue to push things up the league, maybe into the Championship, and who knows, back to the promised land of the Premier League that we all grew up watching Charlton in at the Valley. Yeah. I remember, I think, being particularly disappointed as a kid one time when you lot beat Arsenal at Highbury. And Richard Wright, who I think just decided to punch the ball into our own net for no reason, which helped you guys on the way. Of course, the iconic Thierry Henry backheeled through the defender's legs as well was another kind of cool Arsenal and Charlton moment from Premier League history. So a club that kind of feels like, especially from the Kerbishley era when things were going so well, it has a place in the Premier League, sort of waiting for it when you guys, I guess, are ready.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people, when I tell them I'm a Charlton fan, they're like, oh, I wish you guys were back in the Premier League. Like, I remember, like, I had all my match attacks and they used to be Charlton players and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm glad we're missed.
No, definitely. An iconic early Premier League side for sure. And speaking of that Premier League time, it's time actually for another quick game before we wrap things up. This one's a bit of a work in progress. If you didn't think the first one was, this one definitely is. So bear with us. But we're actually going to be paying homage to a Charlton back four from the 2001-2002 season that gained football trivia infamy simply for its combination of names from right back to left back, which we all know read Young Fish Cost a Fortune. So rather than forming sentences like that one with footballers' names, because honestly, that just sounds too difficult, we're going to be building just one player's name, starting with a footballer's name, and then you can add other footballers' names to the front and the end of the name, so on and so forth. So I've got an example, because I know this is probably a little bit confusing for you guys. So for instance, if I started with John Terry as the foundation of this round, let's say Joe would go first. He could say Stern John Terry, as in Stern John. And then it would be Tash's turn, and she could say, for instance, Stern John Terrico Henry.
Yeah.
Right? You could say that. So we put three players together into one name so far: Stern John, John Terry, Enrico Henry.
Okay.
So let's just jump into this and see how it goes. The winner will be whichever one of us can sort of keep pushing through with the names and the other two fail within a reasonable amount of time. And the order will be I'll start, then Joe, and then Tash. So let's see how this goes. We'll start with Phil Foden. So Joe, can you tag on to that?
Yeah, I think so. Phil Fodenilson. Does that count? Was
that counts. Tash, do you
Okay.
have something that can join this name?
Yeah, to join Denilson Youngmin.
There you go. So we've got Phil Fodenilson Hungmin. Okay, and it's up to me now.
What could go before?
Okay, there was a player who played for Spurs called Eiffel. Was it Paul Eiffel or Phil Eiffel, Joe?
Phil Eiffel. I think there was another player called Paul Eiffel, but yeah,
okay.
Phil Eiffel.
Well, let's go for Phil Eiffel Fodenilson Hungmin.
I'm glad I'm not next. That's all I'm saying.
It's got to start with Min or something like Min, or it's got to end in Phil or something like that.
Stephen McPhail. Will that work?
Yeah.
Oh God! So what have we got to now?
Oh my God. Okay.
What? Stephen McPhail, Eiffel, Fodenilson Hungmin.
I'm completely stumped now. How am I meant to do this?
This is just.
Oh wow! I don't know if I can do. Wow, I can't think of anything.
I've got one.
Okay, go for it.
Or wait, what was the first one I said? You said
Phil?
Wait, Joe, what was that? You said Paul
Stephen McPhail, and then
Stephen McPhail. Sorry, it's got to end in.
Yeah, that's not.
End in Stephen. Okay, let's think about.
Well, that could be fine because I can.
Okay, yeah, let's go for this is a bit of cheating because like there's one letter missing out, but Enda Stevens.
There we go.
So Enda, Stephen McPhail, Eiffel, Fodenilson Hungmin.
Maybe we need to get that printed on a T-shirt, huh?
Yeah. We'll take out three, but like strips, isn't it?
Yeah. Or the three of us actually can stand side by side and get the names so that it actually fits.
With the like double barrels in between.
Yeah, we go.
For sure. Yeah. Are we back at Joe maybe or Tash?
Oh my god.
I'm stumped at this point. Honestly, Sung Young Min's made it really difficult.
Yeah.
I honestly screwed myself over that.
So yeah, it begins with Min or ends in Enda.
Minty. Is there a player called like Minty or something? I've got one. I've
got one as well. But go on, Joe. Go on.
Oh no! So you go for it.
I've got the Brazilian player Mineiro.
Oh, okay. I can
nice.
keep going then because I had one for the beginning as well. So
okay, go for it.
Andros Townsenda Stevens McPhail I Phil Foden Nilsson Hung Minero.
Hey!
That is great.
Oh my God. I never thought I'd do that, but there we go.
I'm quite impressed with us, actually. Let's see. Yeah, I think maybe if one of us can do one more, and we might just have to call them the winner.
What was the start and end again? I've literally lost track.
Andros Townsenda Stephen McPhail I Phil Foden Nilsson Hung Minero.
I don't even know.
I'm stumped. Not gonna lie.
Kai, you might have to save us here. You might have to.
A bit cheating maybe again, but what? Julian Brandt, Dross Townsend.
Julian Brandt.
Or like Brandt, the one who plays for Dortmund, but again taking some liberties with sort of the pronunciation. Yeah. Maybe we'll call this one a draw too.
I feel we've done pretty well. We've combined.
I literally, all I do was contribute song or mid. I'm happy with that though. It made it difficult, so
exactly. You got to throw these things in sometimes. But yeah, that feels like a good place to end things today. So I want to thank my co-host Keitel as always. Then an extra special thank you to our wonderful guest and her first ever podcast as well, Tash. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed yourself, but also for our listeners who have tuned into this one, where can they follow you and kind of keep up to date with all of the stuff you're doing?
So my Twitter is at Tash Everitt. And yeah, just follow me on there. But thank you guys so much for having me on here. It's been really funny. Loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tash. It's been, pleasure was all ours. Definitely enjoyed this. A lot of fun with the games. Good to chat about Charlton, something we don't particularly do often. And good to have someone, I think our first sort of representative from talkSPORT on here as well. Again, something iconic that, football fans across the nation would have grown up listening to, still listening to. Especially I remember on my way back from games, just first thing in the car, get talkSPORT on. Very iconic. So best of luck to you, Tash, on your journey there. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this interview, please do follow us wherever you like to stream your podcasts. Just look for United Mates Football Podcast. That's going to be same way to find us on YouTube. If you feel like putting some faces to these voices, please subscribe while you're at it if you can. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, we are at United Mates FP. So give us a follow there. And then for all of that content and more in one place, visit the website, unitedmatesfp.com. Until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Goodbye.